You. I've seen you. Let me see your face. You are the one from my dreams.
Ladies, gentlemen, and adventurers of all ages, coming out of nowhere, surprising the world, this week we had the sudden release of the remastered version of the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion. And with this, of course, a bunch of people are diving in to play it, whether they be those who played the original game 19 years ago, or people experiencing Oblivion for the first time. And as someone who plays a ton of RPGs and talks about them in depth quite a bit, if there's one thing I know people like to do and like to know how to do really early on is get very, very strong to really get the most out of the power fantasy available as early as you can. With the way that Oblivion works, a lot of equipment scales with the level that you find it, but some equipment has set power levels and some is just exceptional for how early you can find it. So it's essentially your choice whether you want to wait and do this at a higher level to get these items more relevant for your later game section of your adventure, or you can get these for yourself at level 1 and make the early to mid game much easier as a result. And it all looks quite good too cosmetically as a bonus. On top of that, we'll talk about some other varied equipment depending on what you want your playstyle to be, and just some general things that I recommend doing earlier in your journey rather than later on for the bonuses that they can offer. Starting off then, right out of the gate, not that gate, there are quite a few things that you can do right at level 1 the moment you finish the initial tutorial to get some real power and utility rolling early. The first one requires no combat at all, no real trickery at all either, just purely knowledge of where the thing is found and then going to get it for yourself. And that is the Gleam Helmet. This allows you to breathe underwater, which makes it extremely handy to have sitting around in your inventory in general for whenever that is relevant, whenever you want to go diving around, unless you are an Argonian, of course, and can breathe underwater already anyways. But even then, the helmet also has Night Eye and Detect Life enchantments, which are really good for any stealth-based shenanigans. Specifically, Night Eye makes it easier to see in the dark, and Detect Life puts a glow around all visible creatures within its radius, which in this case is 20 meters. As for how to get this, it's just off of the western coastline of Anvil. Right from the start of the game, you will have fast travel points to each of the major cities unlocked, including this one for Anvil, so you can head over to this city and then make your way to this small island that you can see just off of the western coast on your map. Head up to the high point once you reach the island, right beside this little bushel of flowers here, and then jump off of the island facing directly west. Dive straight down, and at the bottom you will find a skeleton with this helmet sitting on its head, so just pick it up off of the head and take it for yourself. Super easy for this one. While we are here, this is a must-have for anyone looking to work around lightning spells, the Boots of the Eel, which provide shock resistance against self-damage so that you can, well, hurt yourself less, quite simply. For this one, in Anvil, from the dock gate fast travel point that is unlocked by default, head outside of the gate to be at the actual docks themselves, walk up to this merchant's building right here, which is Lely's Quality Merchandise, and then head inside. Once in, go up to the second floor of the building, go around to the closed door in the back left, open it up, and, well, obviously the shopkeeper isn't a fan of you digging around his private space and his personal rooms, so close the door to give him a little bit of peace of mind before you steal his favorite pair of slimy boots, and they'll be yours, nice and easy. These ones aren't great for anything other than specifically people wanting to use lightning magic, but they are good for that one specific niche, and if you don't want them, they are still worth 500 gold, which is not bad at all when you're just getting started. Next up, again with no combat needed at all, we have the Black Hand Robes. These are an incredibly solid light armor set as opposed to the heavy armor we'll be talking about later on, and these are super easy to get provided that you don't mind a bit of thievery and lockpicking at the beginning of the game. And again, you can do this right out of that initial tutorial if you want to get this for yourself then, and the actual enchantments on the equipment are Fortify Sneak, Fortify Illusion Magic, Fortify Marksman, and Fortify Blade, with 15 points to all of those skills when equipping both pieces, so it's quite a solid bit of early armor for those who don't want to wear the heavier stuff. As for getting it, fast travel to the Bruma East Gate fast travel point. Again, this is unlocked by default right from the beginning of the game, and from here take a left into the alleyway and proceed until you reach Jagasta's house. Make sure no guards are patrolling by you at the time, and then wander your way in here. Head down the stairs, and then in the back left corner is a locked barrel, which is a bit of a more complex lock than you'll find anywhere else early in the game. Pick your way through it, and you will get this cloak and hood for yourself inside. The next one that I recommend to collect yourself is the Frostwyrm Bow. This is something that you can pick up at level 1 with nothing but a bow, a pile of arrows, and a little bit of cheekiness. For the location of this item, you need to head to the Dive Rock marker, which is here on my map. You won't have it labeled until you've come to it yourself for the first time, but it is all the way here near the northeastern corner of the map, just up a bit of a mountain, and you do have to sort of climb the mountain. But you can just run up the mountain with a bit of perseverance and a bit of patience, and you'll get your way to the top. This specific location here looks out over the inner part of the map, and you will want to be careful on approaching this, as while I am using this as a landmark to tell you where to go, our actual target is about 50 feet southeast of the marker, and you absolutely can run into them by accident while running up the cliff to begin with. The target itself is an invisible troll, which is at least somewhat visible, and this enemy can take quite a lot of hits and dish out decent damage too, at least on standard difficulty. So the real trick here is twofold. First, we are going to use the terrain to make it much harder for the enemy to hit us, and much easier for us to hit the enemy repeatedly with arrows. The best way to do this here is this nice big rock up near the tent that is the Dive Rock marker. Play around this rock using a bow and arrow, literally the basic bow that you pick up when escaping the prison to begin with, and the arrows that you get while escaping are more than enough as well, and then fire down on it while avoiding attacks. That said, it still has quite the chunky health bar, and if you want to, you can slowly plink away at it really, or you can change your difficulty down to minimum in these settings just for the sake of getting this kill quickly and getting this piece of equipment, because all you're doing is removing HP from an enemy that you were already going to beat the crap out of anyways much earlier than you were supposed to be. And that is generally the recommended thing that you should do for a lot of these methods of getting gear early in this game, at least for anything that requires combat. That said, take your time, play it safe, kill the troll, and you will get the Frostwyrm Bow in its lootable rewards. This just by default immediately has double the attack of your standard bow that you'll have killed the beast with to begin with, but it also has a pretty solid ice enchantment on it by default, and this bow can carry you for the first like 20 or 30 levels if you're going to be playing around archery at all, which is a pretty solid gain this early on. The reason that we got this in the order that we did though is that our next entry will once again be using that same tactic of standing out of range and shooting arrows at an enemy that is above our pay grade, but now you can do it with a stronger bow and make it even easier, and you can even use the black hand robes that we picked up earlier for the marksman bonus that gives you 2 to make it even quicker. Next up then is the Umbra armor, the Umbra weapon, and the Umbra shield. This set of equipment can keep you running strong until nearly level 20, and the weapon is an incredibly good one as well, able to be brought much further in than that. It would be stronger if you find all this stuff at a higher level, but finding it at level 1 makes it a fantastic early one-handed weapon, which you can use with the shield that it drops with as well. As far as how to get this stuff, again, the only requirement is to make it out of the jailbreak scene at the very start of the game, and then just make sure that you have some arrows. Then you want to head to the Vin Diesel runes located here on your map in search of family. Or, more accurately, in search of an enemy named Umbra. Head through this initial chamber here with some rats and a falling central platform, avoid the center trap, and head forwards to the next hallway along. This will take you through to the right over to a room that fills with poison gas if you walk through the middle, which is very painful to deal with, so stick to the walls in this room like so and get to the opposite side of the chamber. From here, follow the next corridor forwards, open the gate next to the rat in the closed off room, and then stick to this hallway forwards until you reach this ledge on your side here, which overlooks Umbra standing beside a fire. Whip out your bow, make sure you've got some arrows, and once again, like the previous entry on standard difficulties, she's just a massive sponge of health that will just eat up all of your arrows, so if you want to do this with minimal effort relatively easily, you can drop the difficulty down to the minimal difficulty for this one kill until you have your proper equipment afterwards, and then you can progress to do the rest of the game on whatever difficulty you want to. That said, kill the enemy safely from up on this ledge where you first see them, and they won't be able to get up to hurt you properly. If they try to come around and up here, then you can drop down to the pillar and play it more like you did with the rock with the troll in the previous entry. After killing the enemy, their weapons and shield will fall on the floor in front of them for you to pick up, which are Umbra and Umbra's Ebony shield. Then if you loot the corpse, you will find the full Umbra Ebony armor set as well. The armor and shield are genuinely quite solid. They're very good if you want an early heavy armor set, but the main big deal here is the weapon itself, which as you can see, at least next to my basic starter weapons, is more than double their attack rating, and importantly applies Soul Trap to enemies when you hit them for 2 minutes afterwards, which essentially just means that by killing with this sword, you will fill up soul gems automatically, which is very, very convenient. With all that covered then, lastly, just a couple of more general tips, which is that because a lot of gear scales with level, a lot of the time the best gear you will find is pretty opportunistic, by which I mean a lot of good stuff comes from Oblivion gates, which can pop up at random as you are adventuring, so make sure to do these when they happen and search them relatively thoroughly to make sure that you get everything of value. Aside from that, I recommend having a check-in with the guilds early in your playthrough, especially the Mages Guild. Get settled in there as that gets you access to proper enchanting and recharging your enchantments, which includes for the equipment that we picked up today that has inbuilt enchantments. That pretty much does it for today then, everyone. A list of a number of items that can make your journey through Oblivion's remaster much smoother, that can all be accessed from the very beginning of the game, right from the end of the tutorial. None of this is necessary to enjoy the game by any means, for sure, but it's all stuff that can help make you feel like a true adventurer even early on, and give you a nice little starting point to jump off from for higher difficulties as well. And then just of course a couple of extra tips for more general power growth. I hope you've all enjoyed this then, and hopefully it makes your time with the Oblivion Remaster even more enjoyable than it already would have been. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.